Sales outreach strategies. Best practices to follow. Outbound still works if you earn attention. Outbound isn't dead, it's just getting exposed. In 2025, average cold email reply rates hover around 5.1%, and only about 1% of sends convert into a meeting, so spray and pray outreach simply can't carry pipeline anymore. Cold calling is no easier, with 3 to 10% connect rates and roughly 2.3% dial-to-meeting success, which means you need a real system, not random activity. The upside is that the teams doing outbound the right way are still producing predictable results. When targeting is tight, offers are clear, and follow-up is structured, you can consistently beat benchmark performance without burning your domain reputation or your SDR team. That's the difference between outreach as noise and outreach as a repeatable revenue lever. In this guide, we'll walk through sales outreach strategies that work now, how to define the right ICP, build multi-channel cadences, and scale personalization without sounding robotic. Whether you're building internally or working with a B2B sales agency, the principles are the same. Relevance first, consistency second, and measurement always. The 2025 buyer reality. Self-serve research and zero tolerance for irrelevant outreach. Today's buyers control the process. Gartner reports that 61% of B2B buyers prefer a rep-free buying experience, and 73% actively avoid suppliers that send irrelevant outreach. So, close enough targeting is now a direct deal killer. If your message feels off, you're not just getting ignored, you're training your market to tune you out. At the same time, the channel mix hasn't flipped as much as people think. Roughly 73 to 80% of B2B buyers still prefer vendors to contact them via email, which is why email remains the backbone for most outbound sales agency programs. The play isn't to abandon outbound, it's to align outreach with how buyers want to engage: short, relevant, and easy to respond to. That table isn't meant to discourage you, it's meant to make the math real. If your current approach assumes one email or one call should work, you'll underinvest in the very things that move results: ICP discipline, compelling offers, and structured follow-up across channels. Start with ICP and offer clarity. Most outreach problems are really targeting problems. The fastest way to improve outreach is to stop obsessing over channels and start obsessing over fit. A tight ICP should go beyond mid-market SaaS and include firmographics, role/seniority, technographics, and trigger events like funding, hiring surges, or tech changes. When your list is specific, every message gets easier to write, and every touchpoint performs better. Next, define a concrete offer for each ICP segment, not a vague, "want to see a demo?" Buyers respond to outcomes: pipeline coverage, time saved, conversion lift, or cost reduction. If you're working with a cold email agency or sales development agency, this is the part we insist on locking in early, because no amount of copywriting can save an unclear value proposition. Finally, treat data quality like a revenue lever. Bad records create bounces, low engagement, and spam complaints that tank deliverability, and they waste your SDR's call blocks. Whether you use in-house ops or list-building services, the goal is the same: smaller, cleaner lists you can personalize rather than giant generic lists that encourage spray-and-pray behavior. Build a cadence around buyer behavior, not SDR convenience. High-performing teams don't check in whenever they remember. They run structured cadences. A strong baseline in 2025 is 6 to 8 touches over 2 to 3 weeks across email, phone, and LinkedIn, with each touch having a job: awareness, problem framing, proof, or a clear CTA. This is where multi-channel outreach outperforms single-channel every time because familiarity compounds. Multi-channel results aren't just a nice theory. Benchmarks show that layering channels can drive up to 287% more engagement and 300% more conversions versus email-only outreach. Practically, that means your email can carry the details, your phone touch can qualify and create urgency, and LinkedIn outreach services can add low-friction visibility that makes the next email feel less cold. One of the most expensive mistakes we see is giving up after 1 or 2 attempts. If your team stops early, you're leaving responses on the table that only happen after polite persistence, and you'll mistakenly conclude that your market doesn't respond. The fix isn't to spam people, it's to standardize follow-up, keep messages tight, and make each touch earn its spot in the sequence. If your outreach isn't relevant, more volume doesn't create more pipeline, it just creates more damage. Execute channel by channel. Keep email concise, make calls count, and use social to warm accounts. Email works best when it's short, specific, and easy to reply to, especially since 73 to 80% of buyers still prefer it as the primary vendor channel. Aim for a business-relevant opener tied to a trigger, a clear problem statement, a single proof point, and a low-friction ask. Benchmarks put average cold email replies around 5.8%, with 10% considered strong and 20% plus reserved for top performers, usually because the list and offer are dialed in, not because the template is clever. Calling still matters, but the math demands focus. With 3 to 10% connects and about 2.3% dial to meeting success, your cold callers need strong talk tracks, clean lists, and dedicated call blocks to generate momentum. That's why many teams lean on B2B cold calling services or a cold calling agency to keep activity consistent while improving qualification, especially when AEs can't afford to spend hours prospecting. LinkedIn is the familiarity layer, not the place to pitch a novel. Use it to validate role fit, engage lightly with relevant posts, and add a quick message that reinforces the same problem and proof you're using in email. When we run multi-channel programs for an outsourced sales team, we treat social touches as credibility and timing nudges that increase the odds your email gets read and your cold call services actually convert into qualified meetings. Common outreach mistakes that quietly kill results and how to fix them. Mistake 1 is generic templates copied from competitors. Prospects see the same recycled lines every week, which makes you blend into the noise and invites spam complaints. The fix is to build a small library of message frameworks tailored to your ICP, then personalize the first 1 or 2 sentences with business context that explains why you're reaching out now. Mistake 2 is single-channel outreach, email only or call only. Buyers don't behave in one lane, and neither should you, especially when multi-channel outperforms email only by such a wide margin. If you're evaluating cold calling companies or a B2B sales outsourcing partner, look for teams that can orchestrate email, B2B cold calling, and social touches as one system instead of 3 disconnected tactics. Mistake 3 is optimizing for meetings instead of qualified meetings. When SDRs get rewarded for raw meeting counts, calendars fill with poor fit calls, AEs lose trust, and pipeline quality collapses. Define clear qualification criteria, track show rates and opportunities created, and make sure your KPIs reward the outcomes that actually produce revenue, not just activity. Improve every week. Measure reply quality. Use AI to scale research and operationalize A/B testing. Reply rate alone can be a vanity metric if most replies are not interested, unsubscribes, or spam complaints. We recommend tracking positive reply rate, meetings booked, show rate, and opportunities created by campaign and by ICP slice, then killing anything that generates noise without pipeline. This is how you avoid the trap of busy SDRs with empty revenue impact. AI can be a force multiplier if you use it for research and signal extraction, not to generate robotic prose. Outbound teams using AI-driven outreach report about 29% higher productivity and 24% more engagement, largely because AI reduces the time cost of personalization. In our world at SalesHive, tools like eMod are most effective when they help a human rep sound like they did 5 minutes of real homework, without turning every email into an obvious machine-written template. The final lever is structured experimentation. Top teams don't test sometimes, they bake testing into a weekly rhythm. One hypothesis, one variable, enough volume to call a winner, then standardize what works. Over time, those incremental improvements compound, which is why the best SDR agencies and outbound teams treat optimization as an operating system, not a one-time project. Next steps: audit your numbers, tighten execution, and decide what to build versus outsource. Start by auditing the last 90 days by channel and campaign, deliverability, reply rate, positive reply rate, meetings, show rate, and opportunities. If you're below benchmark, say meaningfully under 5 to 6% replies on cold email, or struggling to turn calls into meetings, assume the issue is list quality, offer clarity, or cadence discipline before blaming the market. Then fix the foundation and rerun with controlled tests. Next, document your ICP and triggers in a one-page guide and create a repeatable 6 to 8 touch cadence that your team can execute consistently. This is also the moment to decide whether you should hire SDRs internally, build a cold calling team, or lean on sales outsourcing while you stabilize the process. Many companies run a hybrid model, a core in-house pod for tight alignment, plus an outsourced engine for steady top-of-funnel coverage. If internal bandwidth is the constraint, partnering with a proven sales rep agency can accelerate learning and reduce trial and error. SalesHive has booked 117,000 plus meetings for 1,500 plus companies, which is why teams often evaluate us when they want predictable outreach without building everything from scratch. The goal isn't to do more outreach. It's to build an outreach system that reliably produces qualified pipeline quarter after quarter.